But ma'am, my level of contribution in each project was more than his. Additionally, I served as a head in the majority of significant projects. I was the one who consistently worked extra hours. And how could you promote him instead of me? Wine lamented, her tone filled with frustration. Are you questioning my decision, Mrs. John? Sophia, Wise was inquired with raised eyebrows, though she didn't make it obvious, but deep down she was enjoying Wine's egg state. I am questioning no one. I am taking stand for myself because I can't see my hard work of and years of dedication go all in vain, said Van with utter confidence and determination. She had always been an indomitable person who would never back off from speaking for her rights. She had a great experience of facing this kind of harsh contours of life, and as always, she was so ready to fight against it. Mm, Well, it sounds like your problem. It's my ultimate decision to promote Jack, and if you have issues regarding this, you are free to resign. Nobody's going to stop you. Sophia shrugged her shoulder nonchalantly. Her lips twisted into a devilish smirk, observing the sight of Vine's annoyed face. Vine's face contorted with anger. Balling her fist, she exhaled deeply to control the rage bubbling up beside her. Oh, how she wished she could grab Sophia's hair and smash her face on the same glass table on which she was tapping her fingers. The sound of her long, wish like fingernails hitting against the glass did nothing but added up to Vine's frustration. Maybe you are right. I should leave. In fact, I am leaving. I will not stay at a place where my efforts are not respected. I'm leaving this job and this company. Keep your promotion to yourself. She gritted out and turned around to leave. And yea, she halted at the door and turned back to face Sophia. Do not turn up at my door begging me to join again. I swear you won't like my hospitality. Saying so, she opened the door and walked out of her cabin, shutting the door with a thud. Sophia flinched due to her action. She scoffed and rolled her eyes, taking Vian's word as a joke. Only if she knew her words were going to come true, sooner or later. Flinging away her bag, Vian slumped down on the couch and yanked at her hair. She was angry, upset, and felt like crying. Sophia's injustice and her careless attitude towards us left her disappointed. The 4 years Vine gave to the company, working fingers to the bone, came off as nothing but bootless Iran. It was not about the job. With her spectacular skills and commendable working strategies, she could get another job at much high income. However, it was about fair and unfair. She deserved to be promoted. When she didn't get the treatment she deserved, she chose to walk out. When, hearing her name being called out, she lifted her gaze, meeting her husband's eyes, who had just emerged out of the kitchen. He was looking quite surprised with her early appearance at home. He wore a red and white checkered pattern apron, insinuating that he was cooking. The usual cheerful smile on his lips held the potential to brighten one's day. His smile, warm and kind, with his eyes curving into crescent moons, the corner of his eyes shrunk into adorable wrinkles, his cheeks puffed upward with the stretching of his lips, twisting into a beautiful bunny smile. Out and out, his smile was a blessing. I'm happy you came early. Dinner is almost ready. Go and change. Then we will have it together. He chirped in excitement. His happiness was evident by the way his eyes were sparkling. He was eagerly looking forward to spend some amazing time with his wife as she had been assiduous the last few weeks. However, his excitement dissipated noticing the frown on her face. She wasn't looking like her usual self. Her face itched with annoyance. Observing her troubled frame, his smile disappeared and concern took over him. What happened? You don't seem well, he probed, taking a seat beside her and gripped her hand, his thumb making soothing patterns at the back of it. Ryan sucked a deep breath. His attempts of comforting her were striking, otherwise irritating her even more. Did something happen at work? Did someone say something? Tell me whose bonds should I break? He joked with an intention to lighten her mood. He shifted a little towards her and tucked a few loose tresses of hair behind her ear. Tell me who made my wife upset, he asked, stroking her cheekbone with his thumb. Her frustration peaked due to his incessant pestering. At that moment, she needed space to calm herself. I'm tired. she said curtly, retreating her hand from his grip. She stood up in order to have momentary escape. As she took a step away from him, he gripped her wrist, restricting her from moving further. What is the issue, Ryan? She read with me instead of running away. He rose from the couch and stood in front of her. He was genuinely worried about her indifference. I said, I'm tired, Jungkook. She stated sternly. Jungkook didn't miss to notice the bitterness in her tone. It confirmed his doubts about something befalling her. I know something is bothering you, Ryan, and I also know you tend to overthink about everything. Instead of bottling it up, share it with me. Maybe I can help you, honey. He softly uttered, trying once again to make her talk out. He knew his wife very well. He knew she keeps things to herself and later cries alone. She gritted her teeth and wrenched her wrist out of his hold. The sudden force made him stumble back. I said, I'm tired. Can't you understand a simple thing? Why are you so hell-bent on irritating me? I can take care of my problems. I'm not a kid who needs 24/7 assistant. She yelled, blinded by anger. Jungkook was shocked at her sudden burst out. Her words that she uttered mindlessly hurted him. A hurt expression marred his face as he looked at her with gloomy eyes. I was trying to help you. Did I ask for your help? No, right? She spat, cutting him off when I'm dripping down her tone. Fine, I whispered and advanced towards the kitchen without looking back. I'm done with everything. She gritted out and marched towards their shared bedroom, unknown of the damage she had done in anger. It is true when they say anger doesn't solve anything, but it can destroy everything. Van sat on the bed after taking a shower. The warm bath soothed her tensed muscles and lightened her mind. She was feeling refreshed. Her gaze unconsciously moved to the photo frame placed on the nightstand. It was a picture of Jungkook and Wine taken on their first date. She smiled, seeing the wide grin on Jungkook's face. However, it didn't take long for her smile to disappear as she remembered the harsh words she darted at him in frustration. Oh my goodness, what have I done? She muttered under her breath and abruptly rose from the bed, storming out of the room to make amendments for her mistake. Searching through the living room and kitchen, Wine walked over to the dining area. She found him there, arranging the dinner on the dining table. The remorse she felt earlier intensified even more when she caught the sight of his blank face. The charm, the usual glow, and the smile on his face was replaced by a cold, emotionless expression. After serving the food in two plates, he settled down on his seat and awaited her to join him as well. From the corner of his eyes, he noticed her standing there looking at him with what seemed like regret, but he didn't glance at her, not even once. Acknowledging his efforts, she strolled near the dining table and occupied the seat across him. He let out a sigh and started eating, his gaze fixated on his plate whole time while Vine's gaze was stuck on him, yearning for his one glance. She ate silently, practicing apology in her head. A thick, uncomfortable silence settled between them as they dined without any exchange of words. Being done with the awkward silence where every single breath felt like creating noise, Vine decided to make a move to get his attention. Sliding her hand across the wooden table, she reached out to clasp his hand. As her hand was a touch away from his, he reiterated his hand back, placing it on his lap. Her eyes filled with a sheen of fresh tears due to his cold treatment. But she couldn't blame him after she literally yanked his hand when all he was trying was comfort her. She took her hand back, gulping down her hurt. The day was already bad, but she herself made it even worse. Jungkook was the first one to finish his meal, but he kept sitting on his place waiting for Wyan to finish hers. A small smile curved on her lips due to his caring gestures, even if he was upset with her. Jungkook stood up as soon as Wyan finished eating. Holding his plate, he extended his hand to grab Wyan's. I'll do it. Wyan interrupted, getting up from her seat. Exhaling a deep sigh, he left his plate on the dining table and walked towards their shared bedroom. Wyan looked at his retreating back with gloomy eyes. But can she blame him? Entering inside the bedroom, Wyan was welcomed with the sight of sleeping Jungkook. He was sleeping at the edge of the bed, his back facing her side. The few minutes he spent mustering up courage to apologize seemed to go in vain. It hurt her that she dismayed him. Strolling towards the bed, she settled on it beside him. She shifted closer to his warmth and hugged him from behind, thumping her leg on his thigh. I am sorry, she whispered, leaving a soft lingering kiss on his back. The day was definitely worst. Thus, she decided to sleep with the resolution to fix everything in the morning. One's sleep was disturbed with a buzzing alarm. She groaned and pressed a pillow on her ear. Jungkook, turn it off, please. She lazily murmured without opening her eyes. When the alarm continued ringing, she extended her hand on the space beside. Jungkook, she murmured, patting her hand on the mattress to find Jungkook, but all she felt was emptiness. The coldness of the mattress insinuated the absence of Jungkook, which made her open her eyes. A frown itched between her forehead as she looked around to capture the sight of her husband. But just like the empty bed, the room was empty too. She kicked off the blanket and got up to search for him. It was very unusual for him to leave without waking her up. She slumped down on the couch with a defeated sigh. He actually left for his office. The worst thing was she didn't get the time to apologize to him. She searched for her phone, which she found behind the cushions. She dialed Jungkook's number and waited for him to pick the call. Yes, she heard his voice, which was nowhere near warm and cheerful as soon as the call connected. Jungkook, she called out. Honestly, she wasn't expecting him to take the call after what she did. She thought he would be super mad at her. You left early, she inquired, sadness dripping down her tone. I had a meeting, he replied monotonously, though his voice was calm, but it seemed distant. Have you, have you had your breakfast? She asked with an intention to keep up the conversation. Yes, your breakfast is in the fridge. Heat it before you have it. He replied, and a thick silence followed afterwards. Wan and Jungkook stayed connected through the call, letting the silence between them converse. I am sorry, Jungkook. I didn't know whatever I said. I won't justify my words with an excuse of anger. I'm guilty for what I did, and I genuinely apologized for that. She burst out with sincerity, forgetting with her fingers due to nervousness. Her nervousness intensified when Jungkook didn't reply. As the silence stretched further, Wan felt herself getting restless due to his lack of acknowledgement towards her apology. Her heartbeat accelerated to the extent that she could heard it thumping in her ear. I am hanging up. I have plenty of work, he replied before the call disconnected. Wine watched her phone wallpaper with longing, which displayed Jungkook's picture in a carrot costume. His smile, which she adored the most, was perfectly sculptured on his face. A smile itched on her lips as she stroked his face through the screen. A newfound undertaking to resolve the differences between them settled within as she got up to have the breakfast made by her husband. Meanwhile, Jungkook let out a sigh, glancing at the black screen of his phone. He was equally affected by the conflict occurred between them. He was hurt by her behavior last night. Being in the same profession as hers, he had always been understanding with her dedication to her work. He never complained about her working extra hours. However, Oli sought for a few moments with her. A few moments where it would be just Jungkook and Wyan away from the worries of mundane world. Apart from these things, last night he was just being considerate, making an attempt to know about the things that were bothering her. It hurted him when she disrespected his efforts and spat those words. Shrugging off all the thoughts that were plaguing his mind lately, he turned his attention towards his work, his yet another futile attempt to escape from the feeling of hurt and sadness. Though her apology melted his heart, but he expected a little efforts from her side. After all, he was righteous to have some expectations from his wife. Vian sat on the couch, glancing at the clock time and again. She was done preparing the dinner and waiting for Jungkook to show up. The day went pretty boring and gloomy. The person who had a habit of working like a robot, who valued every moment of time. It was quite hard to spend an entire day without working. Thus, she spent her day with cleaning and decorating their home and obviously cooking a nice meal for Jungkook. Vine got up from the couch hastily as she heard the sound of front door opening. Another moment, Jungkook graced the living area with his presence. His disheveled hair, crinkled shirt with top two buttons undone, and short jacket hanging on his shoulder insinuated he had a busy day. He lazily gazed around until his eyes stopped at Vine, who greeted him with a warm smile. She could tell he was surprised to see her. His astonishment was justified as mostly Vine returned home after him. Hi, how was your day? She moved towards him and took his laptop back from him. He peered at her without replying. I cooked your favorite food. She beamed with excitement with an attempt to make him talk to her. She expected a monosyllabic response, but all she got was a silence. Her smile slowly disappeared. She ducked her head down, feeling sad yet guilty. She really did hurt him. Observing the side of her fallen face, Jungkook allowed himself to speak. I'll come after changing my clothes, he said, making his way towards their bedroom. Vine's lips curved upward, forming into a beautiful smile. I'll arrange the dinner till then, she uttered and walked towards the kitchen to do the said task. Jungkook, Vine called out, stopping Jungkook midway, who was going towards the room. The dinner was a silent affair, though the silence was comfortable unlike the previous night. Vine waited for its praises. When he didn't do it, the angry expression on his face did. Jungkook looking angry means the food is amazing. This is for you. Vine forwarded a bouquet of red roses and a sorry card towards him. The bouquet contained 15 red roses, a symbol of sincere apology. Jungkook glanced between the flowers and Vine before taking the bouquet from her. He put it on the table beside him. Come here. He pulled her in his arms, embracing her tightly yet gently. They both let out a sigh, their heart beating in sync, creating a perfect symphony of love, longing, and belonging. I am sorry, I really didn't mean those words, she murmured against his chest, snuggling more into him. I know, he whispered, tightening his grip on her. Jungkook placed a pack on her head. At the same time, Wayne placed a pack on his chest, where his heart was beating rhythmically. All of this happened in sync, as if the kiss Jungkook initiated ended by Wayne on his heart. Now, will you tell me what was the reason of your distress yesterday? He asked, still holding her in his arms. Resigned from the job. Precisely, I was made to resign. She mumbled, reminiscing the previous day's events. Why? Jungkook frowned, surprised yet confused by her words. You know I was telling you I'll be promoted? She asked and looked up, resting her chin on his chest. He looked down, nodding at her. Sophia promoted Jack on that position instead of me. In fact, I got nothing. She explained the story of injustice she faced till she decided to resign for good. But don't worry, I applied for few companies. Hope I'll get some positive response. She stated, to which Jungkook frowned. Why go looking for jobs in other companies when you have your own? Work in our company, Ryan. He proposed a suggestion. Ryan squinted her eyes at him. Really, if I started working with you, then you will do anything but work. Also, you will not let me work either. She poked his cheek, imagining the scenario of them working together. That's logically true. What is the benefit of working with your wife when you can't have a few moments of office romance? Work? So boring. Work with romance sounds good. He wriggled his eyebrows, expressing his inner sentiments. You are impossible. She laughed when he tickled her waist. Stop! She spoke between her laughter. He giggled and started tickling her even more. Her laughter intensified and she stepped backward to escape from his tickle torture. In all this laughter and giggles, she ended up falling on the couch, pulling Jungkook along with her. They both shared a glance before bursting into fits of laughter. This was what they craved for, some quality time together. While running behind to brighten our future, we often forget to cherish what we have in present. In the rush of securing the future which has no dimensions, we fail to secure few beautiful moments as a memory. Well, it's human nature. We run behind the things we don't have, but as soon as we get our hands on them, they all become worthless. Ryan, Jungkook commenced after he paced his breathing. Ryan looked at him, waiting for him to speak. Instead of shouting, next time say you need space. When you want to be alone, I swear I won't disturb you until you willingly want to talk. And of course, it applies on both you and me. He opinionated. Ryan nodded, totally agreeing with him. Also, we won't go to bed until we solve our issues and definitely not treating each other coldly. It also applies on both of us, but I'll get a little privilege in this rule because I have terrible mood swings during periods. During that time, everyone appears as an enemy to me. She put forward her suggestion. Jungkook nodded with a chuckle, finding her assertions reasonable and cute at the same time. A momentary serenity settled between them as they stared at each other's deep pools of emotions. Why was Sophia always biased towards me? I never did anything wrong to her, and above all, she joined 2 months ago at her father's place. I see no reason for her hating me, especially in such a short span of time. She expressed the thoughts that had been bugging her lately. Jealousy. There's two type of jealousy one. One person see someone's work outshining others and work on him or herself to compete with them. The other one who wants to let down others to be above them, but they forgot their level is still same as before. And the person whom they drag down knows how to defeat their illogical mindset. Jungkook uttered, explaining the two sides of society. Ryan listened to him silently, absorbing each word he uttered. He spoke facts, the reality of society, but the difference was there are more number of people who know to drag others down than the one who work on themselves to go above others. Anyways, leave all this. Our CFO is retiring in next 2 days and I want you to handle that position. Jungkook stated sternly, leaving no room for Ryan to protest. No, I'm not giving you this opportunity because you are my wife. I am hiring a well deserving and responsible person who knows the values of professionalism. He added quickly after when he saw Ryan opening her mouth to argue. Ryan sighed in defeat. Let's head to our room. Time for some cuddles. He murmured and cradled her in bridal style. Ryan squealed and giggled, hooking her arms around his neck. Jungkook, how much more time? Ryan yelled for the upteenth time. 5 more minutes, she heard his faint yell from their room. Huffing in annoyance, she crossed her arms over her chest. Ryan and Jungkook decided to spend the day together going on date. Ryan was in the living room already dolled up for the day, but Jungkook was taking forever. Now who wants to test my patience? She grunted, hearing the doorbell echoing through the living area. She pushed herself off the couch and went to open the door. She was surprised to see Sophia standing at the door. Can I come inside, Ryan? Sophia awkwardly smiled. Ryan opened the door wider, letting her inside. Oh, I am sorry, Ryan, for what I did. Sophia apologized, getting nervous under Ryan's perplexed gaze. As far as I know you, you are not here just to apologize. Come to the point. Ryan darted a stunned gaze at her. Join the office bag, Ryan, please. Her tone dropped octaves lower as she looked down, avoiding Ryan's gaze. No, she won't, Miss Sophia. Before Ryan could reply, Jungkook interrupted. Both the women's gaze shifted to Jungkook, who walked over to them and stood beside Ryan. In case you forgot, my wife resigned because her hard work was not respected, and I don't think she would want to go back at this place ever again. She He looked at Ryan, who smiled at him. But I'm apologizing and I am ready to give her promotion. Sophia tried to justify, only if she knew how distasteful it sounded at that fleeting moment. If you have nothing more to say, the door is there. My husband and I have plans. Ryan responded, pointing at the door. Though she was being rude, but that was what Sophia deserved. Sophia sighed in defeat and left from there. You are you going like this? Ryan pointed her finger from his head to toe and back to his head. Why? What's wrong? Am I not looking good? Jungkook asked, a confused expression marring his face. You are looking deadly gorgeous. All attention of leeches will be on you and I'll burn in jealousy. Wine replied, narrowing her eyes. Jungkook laughed and wrapped his arms around her waist. I don't care how many pairs of eyes gaze at me, my eyes will be always on you. Always, Mrs. John. He smiled, observing the soft, rosy hue covering her cheeks. If you think you can flatter my heart with your talks, then you are right. She tiptoed and left a peck on his chin. Let's go. I have planned a lot of things for the day and I don't want to miss any. He placed a chapstick on her forehead before intertwining their hands, guiding her outside. In every relationship, there is going to be arguments, fights, smiles, tears, and ups and downs. Things said out of anger, attitudes, and jealousy. But at the end of the day, if you truly love that person, you will stick around in every good and bad. That's love.